Adam Smith. Tonight, I'll be telling the stories of Faisir, a Luton Muslim, a British colonel who worked in Sierra Leone, and an expert witness, UN Secretary of State, Norman Tibbet. Personally, I pretty much grew up overseas, and I was living in Germany, and I was 11 when September 11th happened. I remember the day very well, but the thing that stuck with me is that for the days and months that followed, no matter what gate you would go in on, there were always thousands and thousands of lit German candles. I remember when you would drive in on at night, it looked like you were going into a cathedral.
My name is David Jensen. Tonight I will be telling you the story of an ex-member of the Ulster Volunteer Force of Northern Ireland. On 9/11, I remember being woken up by my roommate and asked if my twin sister was okay. She was living in Brooklyn at the time. I was not able to contact her by any means. The next 6 hours were the most confused and fear-filled of my whole life.
My name is Zachary Colson.
My name is Teresa Green. My name is Mara Johnson.
My name is Sabina.
I am Tyler.
I am Brianne.
I am Iseli.
I am Thomas.
I am Cody.
My name is John Meekum.
My name is Suzanne Cross.
On 9/11, I was 16, and I was in school. The TV was turned on, and the second plane had just hit the tower.
I remember it was a sunny day, and recess would be outdoors. All the boys in my class thought we were watching a movie.
I was in Azerbaijan. My show had been canceled.
Recess was canceled.
I was in my 4th grade art class learning how to draw the figure of a human being. Another teacher ran into the room and told us that the second tower had just fallen.
Then, in the corner of the screen, I saw that this was live. We all fell silent.
When I hear the word terrorism, I am reminded of the Columbine Massacre, where 2 teenagers gunned down their fellow students and teachers. I was shocked. How could 2 high school boys do such a terrible thing? When I learned that they did it because they were bullied for most of their lives, I started to feel sorry for them.
It was the first time anything on the news truly affected me. I felt connected, and I wanted to know more. I started watching the news on my own accord.
There was a man on the news a few days later. He said that it was okay to hurt the Muslim people because they had hurt our people. I didn't understand. I had always been taught 2 wrongs didn't make a right.
My closest experience with terrorism was on July 22nd, 2011, when a car bomb detonated outside the executive government district in Oslo, Norway. I didn't hear about it until late in the day. People just weren't talking about it. But my uncle works in the buildings there, and I waited for hours to see if he survived. The strangest part was being so worried about something that a lot of people around me just didn't seem to know about.
I was 12 years old. I was living in Santiago. It was a normal school day. We heard about the news, but we didn't even know what the Twin Towers were. One of my teachers ran out of the classroom. She started to cry. She had a sister living in New York. The rest of us didn't really care. I got upset with the show being canceled. My mom was very angry with my words.
I first felt terror when I was 12 years old, and my friend and classmate was shot 3 times in the back on Martin Luther King Day. He was black, wearing dark clothing and a hood. This memory was brought back to me this year on February 26th when Trayvon Martin was shot and killed. He was also black, wearing dark clothing and a hood.
I tried to talk to people, but it was like talking to a brick wall.
The same person who bombed a building in Oslo went to the island of Utoya. He killed 69 people and injured 59 more. Most of them were kids. I felt confused, scared, angry, but my friends didn't care. 3 days later, I decided to talk to a priest. I will never forget what that priest said. He said that this man was more justified than the people behind the 9/11 attacks, simply because he was Christian. This was the first time I have ever sworn at a priest.
Up until this point, I thought America was invincible. Now I know that it's not.
At 12 years old, I learned that my skin color comes with a dress code, fear, and is even reason for some to kill. I also learned that it comes with silence, because I can't talk about it. Because racism doesn't exist anymore. And as soon as I point it out, somehow it becomes my fault.
Every word in the play you are about to see tonight has been taken from actual interviews of real people from all around the world. In accordance with our desire to make these stories heard, we have chosen not to adopt any accents, traditional clothing, or any other nuances that would allow the audience to see these as simply stories from another part of the world. We would like to encourage you to join us for a short discussion with the cast after the show. This is Talking to Terrorists with Robin Soans.
I got on with terrorists on both sides because I treated them like human beings. They were normal working class men. I had an affinity with them. They said it was my gender. It wasn't. It was my class. That's what did it. I'd say, don't call me Secretary of State. You call me by my Christian name, and I shook their hands. None of my predecessors shook their hands. I don't have a voice like, wonderful to see you. Talking to terrorists is the only way to beat them. Jerry and Martin wanted to talk.
Jerry Adams, president of the Sinn Féin, and Martin McGuinness, the leader of the Provisional IRA?
Of course, they've done dreadful things. But they had wives. They wanted to play with their kids. They were normal family men. I wanted to appear as normal as possible. Mind you, it was fucking difficult. I had the special branch, security, the RUC.
Royal Ulster Constable.
All men. Everywhere I walked, I had this phalanx of men like a tail following me. I ran away twice. It was hard for both sides. They were bigoted, prejudiced, distrustful, fearful. The most important thing is I was an ear listening. You have to allow that they believe in what they're doing. And if you want to change their minds, you have to talk to them. And they won't do it very willingly because they don't trust you. But yes, you have to talk to terrorists.
It's difficult for me to talk to you because what do you say when you return from interviewing children who were kidnapped by men who raped them, had their knees nailed together to stop them running away? Do you talk about the weather? And how do you talk about it without sounding sanctimonious or preachy? In the past, I suppose I've given up, really. Just slotted